What's up guys, James with JDC Auto here. We're ready to get the job done on this 2006 Toyota Sienna. We have a what seems to be a bad starter, so we're going to go over some symptoms and check to see if we can get it fixed. I wanted to check was the fuse in the fuse box here. This one actually doesn't have a normal fuse. It looks like a built-in rail fuses. But if you look at it in here, take a look at the back of the candle, which is in the right-hand side of the driver's side of the engine bay. Take it up, flip it over, you'll see a whole diagram here. And if you look here, ST, which is a 30 amp, which you should see right there, it's going to be in this grid of cables. Now, this actually had a plastic covering over it, which I had to get a little pick and to pick up the sides and then take it up. But if you go ahead and look inside there, I don't know if it's easy to see it, but it's the, let's count it one more time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 from the right hand side on the bottom row. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, should be this one, and there is a little, I don't know if you can see that. It's hard to get a good view on that with the camera here, but there's a hardwired one. I checked the fuse in there, and I'm trying to get you guys to see that, so see if it'll focus here. Definitely doesn't want to focus. So anyways, the fuse in there is good. I checked it. It's still a hardwire fuse. If that is broken, obviously you're gonna have to get that replaced. Next option I looked at was the immobilizer inside of the computer system, the ECU. So I hooked up my scan tool, which OBD2 port is down here in the bottom. You can see it just there, the white. So I hooked it up, I checked the immobilizer, and it seems to be functioning properly, and there's no problem with the immobilizer. So now we're actually gonna have to go down and check the starter. So let's get that air cover off and get to it. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take off the battery cables just so we don't have any power to this, because when we're doing anything electrical, you always want to get this off. This is a 10mm wrench, so go ahead and we're going to take off the cable for the battery. It should pop right off. And while you're here, you might as well check to make sure there's no heavy corrosion on the battery terminal, just as a maintenance procedure, but it seems to be fine. So I'm going to get these both off. You actually need to take off one, but might as well take off both since I'm here. Okay, we're disconnected. After the battery, we need to get the air intake out of the way. So we have these two bolts up front. We have some hoses, some sensors, and we're gonna go ahead and start to take those apart. All right, these two front bolts are 10mm, so go ahead and get your, you can do this with a ratchet by hand, or you can have a little gun and make it a little bit faster. 10mm bolts. Take those off, set those to the side, make sure you keep track of where all the bolts are and where they go. This, after you do that, should just pop right off like that. Go ahead and take that and set it to the side, and probably end up blowing it out and cleaning it. It is dirty. After that, we have a couple electrical connectors here. Ones that are coming from the electrical harness. We're going to go ahead and disconnect these. There's a little pinch on the bottom here, a little clip. Go ahead and pinch that. And be gentle with it as you're taking it, because these plastics do get brittle and break. So we're going to take that and just kind of wiggle it side to side until it pops right off. There we go, off. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a little electrical connector there with the little tab that you push down. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take off this hose here. Ooh, there was a suction on that. So we're just going to leave it at that. Actually, we're going to take off this electrical connector. I'm pretty sure this whole piece comes off as a whole. So what we're going to do next is we're going to open up the air box here and get inside there. I am going to unplug the MAF, which is the mass airflow sensor. It's on top of the air tank here. Just go ahead and unplug that connector. Again, same process, gentle, give it a wiggle. If anything, you can get a little flathead screwdriver and pry it off gently, being careful with it, of course. Now I'm going to go ahead, those are also 10mm here in the air box, so it's going to take our little gun. Okay, that's disconnected. This should tilt up. Got it. In order to get it fully out of the way, I gotta grab my magnet really quick. I dropped that bolt. We're gonna have to take a Phillips head screwdriver, and inside here it's gonna be flathead, Phillips head, 2 screws that holds on the hose here. We're just going to loosen those and we'll be able to take off this whole piece now that we got the MAF sensor off. The tab is on the top. Looks like that. You just push that tab down. And we also have the little clip for this one, which I didn't want to show you guys earlier, but there's a little clip on the bottom. Again, you just kind of push down and it helps to release. And again, be gentle with those. This looks like it's going to come out as one piece, so I'm not going to disassemble this whole hose right here. We're going to take off this next part right now. So we'll get a Phillips head and we'll go from there. Head, but as I was away, I realized that those bolts are 10 millimeters and I have my same gun here. So you're going to need a 10 millimeter socket head and you can actually get all of this loose and apart up here. I have the extension with a little bit of space so that you can, it's kind of like a wobbly. So it lets it kind of flex and hit corners a little bit better. But now with those both loose here, we can go ahead and remove the air filter. And again, be gentle. Now looks like we are gonna have to move some vacuum hoses. Let's go ahead and take a look closer. Backside, those vacuum hoses that come off here, you can see there's 3 of them stuck to the back here, on the back of the the air box. So we're gonna pull those off. 1, 2, and 3. And if you really want, you could probably mark these where they went. I'm pretty sure that they are, someone actually already did that. You can see here how there's a yellow mark. There's a yellow mark on there. So these have been marked and taken off before. So we know which one goes where. So we know the yellow one goes on top, the yellow, and then obviously the last one goes on there. And this is the unique one that sits way up top here. So I'm gonna remember that. Now with those off, we're gonna go ahead and remove the airbox top. Ooh, this is looking a little dirty. Maybe we can blow that out, help out for a little bit better airflow. And then you get down to it here and you're gonna see you have the air, the air filter. I'm gonna take this up. And once you go down in there, you're gonna see the bolts to remove the box here. So we're gonna go ahead and get those done. I believe those are also 10 millimeters. So when you drop the bolt, like I said, I dropped from earlier, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that while I'm here. So I did drop it down in here. It's right there. It's always handy to have a little magnet on there so you can grab your bolts you drop. But you also want to try to be careful not to drop it in the first place. This was that top bolt on the front side in front of the battery that held down the air cleaner. So I'm going to save that. Actually, what I want to do is I usually will screw it right back in to where it was, and that's that. So now we're going to go ahead. I got a longer extension. So that I can get to the bottom of that without having to struggle with the size of it. But the my little gun's small enough, but just to keep things simple, I'm gonna get a little bit longer extension, reach down in there and go and get those out. Oops, I'm dumb. I don't even need that end piece, I need the one extension. All right, let's get it. All right, so those 3 bolts are out now. Take the whole box out, should just lift right out of here. If this is still obstructing it, I did already loosen the back one here, and we're just going to take that off and set it to the side for now. It is in the way, so what we're going to do is now is it should lift right out of here. There we go. On the back side of the airbox, it seems that, yep, it seems that we have one of the wire connectors is connected to the back side of that box. So I'm going to go get a flathead really quick and we're going to pop that right off. Let me show you what it looks like. So you can see there, hopefully you guys can see that. There's a little wire connector in there. It's just a little harness. We can get a little flathead and we're going to pop that out. Alright guys, so as you can see I took out I took off that connector. I actually ended up not needing the flathead screwdriver. It was actually a pinch connector, so what you need to do, actually let me go and bring you in. It's a pinch connector in the back, so you can reach up underneath with a pair of needle nose pliers and you can pinch it. So it just kind of pinches in and it'll come right out. So that's disconnected. Now with that out, you can actually see the starter. It's right there. It's the one with the blue sticker there. So it looks like we're actually going to have to take out the battery. We're going to take out this cross cable here, take up the battery, and also there's a little, this metal plate needs to come out of the way so we can get access to the starter and the starter bolts. So let's go and get working on that. These look like 10 millimeters again, which is great. We're going to need a 10 millimeter deep socket, or you can use a 10 millimeter wrench if you want to do that by hand. And again, if you have obviously impact tools, it makes it a lot faster, but just use what you can get. Awesome. We actually didn't even need to get the deep, the deep well. Geez, why can't I remember the name of it? Anyways, this just hooks out of the back there. Once you get the front one off, it just kind of pops off on the back. So let's go ahead and set this to the side, make sure we keep track of everything. I personally like to put the bolts and nuts right back into the hole they came out of, just to keep track of everything, where it goes. And now with that, the battery disconnected, we can actually go ahead and now remove the battery. Set this to the side somewhere safe, out of the way. And now we get down to the bottom panel here. There's a little bottom battery plate. We're gonna go ahead and just dump out all that dirt. Set it right next to the battery. And now it reveals two bolts that we're gonna need to take off here. Let me go ahead and show you that up close. So two bolts we need to take out are just there. These two bolts right here. As you can see, we have those two here, which will take off this plate, which will give us full access to the starter. And just in case as well, it looks like we're going to need to take out this bottom end vent air intake hose that comes from that front part. So we're going to go ahead and take off those two bolts, move the plate, and should be able to just take this out. There actually maybe, nope, it just kind of looks like it pops in there. So let's go ahead and take these out. These are like 10 millimeters. Again, simple job, just one size, which I'm going to have to give props to Toyota for doing that, because that just makes it so much easier for repairs. So let's go ahead and take off those two 10 millimeter bolts. This should just pop. Pop. Oh, we got one bolt here in the front. I don't know if you can see that. Just here, one bolt, and we're gonna take this bolt off here in the front. Lift it up, and then we should release. The bottom portion is just kind of sitting into that little plastic channel here, which we're gonna need to make sure it goes back in there when we're done, and we should remove that. All right, so now we have that all out of the way. Now we have access to the starter. Now we're gonna do a couple tests with a multimeter to see if the starter is bad, if it's a starter, if it's getting the right connection, if it's getting the right voltage when we turn the key. And if we are getting the right voltage, that does mean the starter is bad. So before I come pulling all of it out and all that, we're gonna go ahead and do some tests with the multimeter. All right, first thing I want to do is just show you, so we have the multimeter now. I did temporarily put the battery back in. I just kind of set it into the right out of the way, but I did connect it again. And just to show you, we are reading, I have the negative terminal on, but if I go ahead and touch the positive here, you'll see that it will jump up to 12.34 volts, 12.33 volts. And so that's good. The battery has voltage. I reconnected all the cables here. Let me see if I can get a little bit stronger connection on this, because it seems not having good connection. There we go. That's a solid connection, and right away with 12.3 volts. So first thing I want to test is the connection from the battery to the starter. There's a big cable on top here. Let me show you really quick that I'm going to test, and then I'm going to show you the second place I'm going to test as well. So we have two cables coming off the battery here. We have this big one right here. This is the solid power from the battery. This should show 12 volts when I touch it. So I'm going to touch this one first and check for 12 volts, and then I'm going to actually take off this connector here, and this should receive voltage when you turn the key. So when you turn the key, this should be receiving voltage on one of these two leads here. So I'm going to be testing that as well when the key is turned and on, and actually in the start full forward position, and see if I'm getting voltage to that. If I am getting voltage to that, and a good, because it should have 2 volts and it should be grounding to the engine block. So, and that's how you're gonna tell if the if it's a fuse that's bad, because if we're not getting voltage here, that means we do have to go for more electrical searching and find the fuse. But if it is getting voltage, that does mean the starter is bad, and we will be switching it out. So let's go ahead and check. So I'm going to start with that top one, then go to the second one. All right, so let's, like I said, first one we're going to check is going to be that top one there. For some reason, we're reading voltage for no reason. But let's go and touch that top one. There we go. The top one is reading 12.34 volts, exactly as it should, because that's a direct wire from the battery. So we do have good voltage there. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this clip here and take a look at this clip and see if it is anything. So there's one single prong as it should be, and all I'm going to do is first of all check it right now. There shouldn't be any voltage. All right, as we don't have, so I'm going to leave that there, and I'm actually going to call someone to help me to turn the key on start and see if we are getting voltage there. All right, guys, so I got someone to help me. She's going to turn it forward here in a second, and we're going to go ahead and check to see if we're getting voltage. All right, go ahead and turn it forward all the way. All right, so, okay, turn it off. Turn it forward. All right, guys, so we are getting the additional 11, 12 volts. The battery, turn it off all the way. Thank you. So it seems obviously simple fact. We are getting positive energy from the turn on cable, and we are having positive energy from here, and we're grounded to the block. So when the key is turned on, it completes the circuit, which should fire up the starter. But the starter obviously is unfortunately bad. So we are going to be taking out the starter and replacing it. We have found our conclusive evidence. All right, so now that we know it's a starter, let's go ahead and take the battery out again. Take these off. We're going to go ahead and set these to the side again, and we're going to remove the battery again, setting it to the side. So take this out. And looking at it, there are seems to be two bolts here holding it in. Let me go ahead and show you a close-up of those ones. There's two bolts, one on the left, one on the right. I've already removed, and I still need to remove the electrical connector here as well, which looks like it's a 12 millimeter, 13 millimeter. I'll be sure to tell you in a second. And then also, these seem to be a little bit bigger, maybe 13 or 14 millimeters, probably 14. But let me go ahead and grab those. So we got one bolt here on the left side, and then we have one down on the right side. If you take a look, there's two holding it in. It's a pretty simple access point. So let's go ahead and get those all off. The cable and the two bolts. All right, guys, we're ready to get this off. First thing, battery terminal, the full power. It is a 12 millimeter. I'm just gonna go ahead and zip zap, get this off. Make sure I don't lose that. Keep that to the side for now. And as I said earlier, these ones are gonna be 14, the ones that are holding it in. So what we're gonna do is, first of all, it's gonna remove this cable. Should just wiggle back and forth right off, set to the side there. And I do have a little short 4-inch extension here. And then I do have a deep well just to kind of give me a little bit more range, but it's a 14 millimeter, and I should have easy access to those bolts right here. My little small gun in there, and all right. That's one bolt. Two bolts, and with the two bolts off, now we should be able to simply wiggle and kind of pull out, and it should pop right out. And there we go, guys. There's your old starter. Keep that. Make sure you turn it back because you do have a core charge on these. So yeah, this one might seems to be burned out. So let's go ahead and get the new one, and let's put it in. All right, guys. So we got the new starter here. Here's the part number if you need it, 17825 from FMP. It says FVP, but FMP is the company, Factory Motor Parts. Honestly, I've had good luck with a lot of their parts, and I really enjoy them. They've been also pretty excellent with their customer service and so on and so forth. So go ahead and get this on. It actually does come with a new bolt or nut in the back, so that's perfect. So go ahead and we're going to take, actually I'm going to leave it on for right now so we don't lose it. Let's go ahead and get it started in there, and let's get our two bolts in. Before actually I do that, hold on one second here. Oh, it's a plug. Okay. On the bottom of this one, we do have a little yellow plug, and I just want to see if I'd have to swap it over, but this is also a plug too. It just looks like a little hose, but it's actually sealed. So we're going to go ahead and slide this back in now. Put it back in with the little barrel facing up. And there we go. Now let's go and get our two bolts started. Finger start first. Don't ever zip it in because you can cross thread, and being aluminum, you will strip it out in a heartbeat and you will hate life. So always get it started finger tight first. Let me see if I can actually use this to kind of get it started. So it is kind of deep back there. Right, there we go. Go ahead and just get that started there, and it should go in pretty easy. If it does feel hard, that means you're cross-threading it. Make sure that you do take it back out. Do not force it in because you do not want to cross-thread these. So like this one's feeling a little tight, so what I'm gonna do is kind of wiggle it around a little bit, try to take some pressure, and it should start real easy, just like that. There we go. Now with the starter, I'm going to go ahead and gently zip it up to the block. Back on first. I'm just going to snug it. I'm not going to zip it hard. Okay. Snugged up. All right, guys, these starter bolts need to be torqued down to 26 foot-pounds. So, honestly, if you're not 100% sure, you can always you can rent one from AutoZone or O'Reilly's and get one. It's important to get these torqued down to the right specs so we don't have anything damaged here. So we're going to go ahead and go up to, there's 20. There we go. Should be 26 foot-pounds here. Let's go ahead and get on there. Alright, that's one. Alright, 26 foot-pounds, good to go there. Going to reconnect our main battery terminal here. On this one, we do have a lock washer and a nut, so you're going to have both here. I'm going to go ahead and put the cable on. It should go all the way on. Sorry if I'm in the way. So all the way on, and once it's on there, you're going to go ahead and put the lock washer on and the nut itself. And let's see if this is still, should be the 12 millimeter. No, it's not. It seems to be 13. Let me see if it's the 14. The aftermarket ones are always a little bit. It is a 13, but I did snug it up with the 14 here, so I'm gonna go grab the 13 so I get the right one. Alright, so the new one is a 13 millimeter. Yep, fits right on there. Let's go ahead, and this does not need to be cranked down crazy. Just gentle, nice little zip zap. There we go. On there, nice and snug. And make sure you cover back up with that rubber boot to keep it protected. Next, we're going to take our clip here. The clip that goes to it that we just tested, which it is getting power, should snap right in. You should hear a click. Give it a gentle pull. It's locked in there. We're good. And keep that wire connected. Now we're going to go ahead and drop the battery in. And before I'm going to put this all back together, I'm going to drop the battery in and do give it a test start just so we don't waste our time putting everything back in and realizing that's not the problem. So let's go ahead and put the battery back in. Again, this is just a test fitting, so we're going to set it in there just for now. And then go ahead and let's reapply our connectors here. Try to give it a little bit of a snug, just so it has good connection to the terminal. There we go. Oops. All right, well, let's go ahead. We should be able to crank it now, start it, and see if it's gonna take on. So let's go ahead and give it a start here. Let's see what it does. Right. Well, there you go, guys. And that's how you swap out a starter. We're going to do all of the steps in reverse, putting it back together. And there you go. You basically fix the problem with the starter, and you learn how to diagnose and figure out the issues. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.